What is attention? Attention is the key process that separates large language models from any other type of machine learning model. It is the process that allows large language models to reason, in a sense. And the way it works is that you have input vectors, which represent the meanings of words going in, and output vectors, which represent the meanings of words coming out. And at the end of this process, what we're hoping is that this vector over here will get us somewhat closer to the meaning of the next word. Now, let's take a look at this process in more detail. So in come the vectors, and they go into three separate sections. We need to do three separate things with them. The first thing is we want each word to make a prediction for the value of these words, these vectors. So we need each meaning here to make a prediction for the next meaning that comes after it. And so we generate values. These will look differently to the original ones. Then we need to generate a sequence of keys. Now these keys are there to tell us when these predictions will be applicable, when we need to pay attention to these predictions that we made. This is the key process in attention. It tells us how much we're supposed to focus on each of these, and what scenarios these apply. So we generate a new set of vectors, and these are our keys when we need to apply those. Finally, we need a set of queries. Now what queries do is they tell us what scenario we think happens when we need to generate these words. What questions or scenarios need to occur for these words to be generated? What questions have to be asked? So these are the queries. And then this is a new set of vectors, like this. And then for each scenario we think is relevant, and this over here would be the scenario for this one over here, that word over there. This is the scenario for this word, and that is the scenario for the last word. We check for what scenario each of these apply, and how close it is to the scenario of this word. And well, this seems quite similar, so I'll give it a score of 0.5. These scores are generated by checking how close the queries are to the keys, and they generally go from between 0 and 1. And these look exactly the same, so this will get a score of 1, this value, for this scenario. And these look pretty similar as well, so this will get a score of 0.7. And then what happens is, based on how relevant each of these predictions for this word are for the scenario of these words, of that word, we scale these values. So this one will only have half as much of an impact as, say, this one. So let me start again. So this one will have a full impact. This one over here will just have half as much of an impact because it was half as much relevant to this scenario, because this was predicted for this scenario, and this is different from this one by a factor of 0.5. Then we apply this value over here, which was pretty similar, so that gets quite a big weighting as well. And after adding together all of these values, the resulting vector we get will be this word over here, the vector for that word over there. This is the process of attention. We make predictions for what the next words should be, in what scenarios. Then we list all the scenarios we can have over here. We compare them to the scenarios we made the predictions for. Based on that, we weight the predictions in terms of how relevant they are. We pay attention to each prediction based on how relevant it is to the scenario of each individual word. So that is the process of attention.